Hello guys, welcome back. I don't know if it's going to be a treat for you or for me, but this morning I woke up and I felt so nostalgic for my Caribbean Johnny cakes. If you go to the Caribbean, you must make sure that you have it. It's made from flour and a few other ingredients, and I'll show you how that's done. So this should be fun today. And I think in America, it's down south, it's called fried bakes, but we do it different in the Caribbean. So let's do that today. So first you will need a pound of flour. And I say a pound is because this is 1 kilo and I use half a bag, so that's 1 pound. You throw it in your mixing bowl. This is the baking powder that we get here. And for 4 cups you use one tablespoon of baking powder, but I'm using a lot of flour, so I'm going to use a whole pack and a half of baking powder. And I've never really had a problem by using too much baking powder. It's always bad to use too little, but you can never use, I think, too much. And then I will put a little bit of sugar. And if you've seen my other recipes, you know I don't use cane sugar, I use stevia sugar. I wouldn't put too much. I think 3 tablespoons is good. And you definitely need to put a pinch of salt. Because I'm using so much flour, I'm going to use a few pinches of salt. And then you need butter, and for my own family we use soya butter, so not any dairy products, but you can put what butter you like. I'm gonna do 3 heaping teaspoons of butter. So you have all the ingredients together and you're gonna mix it. First cover the butter a little bit with the flour so it doesn't get stuck on your fingers, and break up the butter. Mix all the ingredients through the flour with your hand. And this is not a part of the mixing process. The kneading of the dough process, that's when you add the water. This is just making sure that all the ingredients are distributed evenly through the flour, so you don't get some sweet parts and some salt parts. And the butter is all broken up, you can feel it through the flour. Then it's time to add some warm water. So now my water is lukewarm, and I will make a little hole and start to add the water slowly and start to mix the batter. You add it slowly because you don't want it to be too wet. So you pour water, you mix to see the consistency, and then you pour some more water, a little more, and then you mix again. You're trying to get all the flour and all the ingredients into one ball. And in this case I added too much water, so I have to add a little bit more flour. just a little bit. It's all about feeling how much your dough, how wet it is or how stiff it is. Pretty perfect. I might need a little bit more dusting of flour. To get it in a nice ball, I'm going to do a little dusting on the counter of flour. Now I'm going to knead it until it's a little smooth ball. Perfect. So I'm going to put it back in a bowl, and then we're going to cover it for 30 minutes to an hour so all the ingredients can work and do their stuff. Then I'll have a little chat with you. So let me give you a few tips and tricks, because over the years I've made some terrible mistakes where my Johnny cakes came out flat or they came out too hard. Getting advice from people that I know that does it perfectly. These are the tips and tricks that I have come to understand over the years that will help you to make perfect Johnny cakes. One of the first tip that I can give you is do not knead the dough too long. I know it's against conventional wisdom that the longer you knead the dough, the better, but that is with yeast. But with Johnny cakes, because we're using baking powder, the advice is not to knead it too long. Just knead it for just enough to get the ingredients together and to get that ball of dough ready. That's just enough kneading. You should roll out your Johnny cakes to the right thickness. So you shouldn't make them too thick or they won't fry correctly all the way through in the center. So you should roll them out to at least minimum 1.5 centimeter, shape them and then fry them. So don't roll them out too thick. Before I used to roll them out like 2 inches or even more sometimes. Stupid. So try to roll them out as small as 1.5 centimeters. And finally, make sure that your baking powder hasn't been sitting in a cupboard for too long. Make sure it's not too old or the ingredient won't work the way it should work and you will get flat Johnny cakes. So realize that your baking powder can sit there too long and lose all its working ingredients that is supposed to work in your dough, and your dough and your Johnny cakes will become hard and flat and really not edible. So make sure it's a new batch of baking powder. So an hour has passed and we shall continue. You can see it has risen. If I press my finger, it pops back out. So that's really good. Make sure your surface is powdered with some flour. And you roll it out onto your surface. If it's still a little wet, which mine is, you powder it with some flour and the surface. Oh, it feels really good. So now we're gonna separate them into little balls. I first separate my little balls and then I roll them out. And I'll tell you a little joke. In all the years I've been making Johnny cakes, no matter how much ingredients I use, I never get more than 10. I don't know why. It's the weirdest thing. I can't explain it. I just thought it was a funny fact in my life to tell you. So I have my little balls rolled out, or my little pieces, and then I'm gonna roll out my Johnny cakes. And you can do this with a rolling pin, but I do everything by hand. So I make balls and then I flatten them with my hands. Just go round and round and flatten them till they're about 1.5 centimeter. So you add the oil and you try to get it quite deep, as if you were planning to deep fry something. So when you put in your Johnny cakes, they would have room to fry and to float. Now that I have the pan on with the oil, I will continue to roll out my Johnny cakes, because you know the pan has to be really hot, so you will do that before you start rolling these out. The good thing about Johnny cakes is they can be very versatile. You can, for example, season them with seasoning that they are somewhat salted, or you can do it with extra sugar that they're somewhat sweeter. You can add beans in the dough. You can do a variety of things with them. And we also use this kind of dough to make pastiches. That is when you fold the dough over with some meat inside or fish inside. It's the same concept, the same kind of dough. How much did I get? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Oh, I got 11. That's amazing. Probably one is too small. So I really think my oil is hot enough, so I'm gonna start to fry them, or at least I'm gonna try one. Yes, it's definitely hot enough. And he's gonna start to fry, and then he's gonna start to rise up and float. Then you know it's really hot and ready. It goes quite fast, so you turn it over when you see it getting a little brown. You fry them until they get golden brown, and then you can take them out. So there we go. Some nice Caribbean Johnny cakes. They're still super hot. You can have them with anything that you choose. You just slice it open, and you can have it with some nice jam or some nice cheese spread, peanut butter, cheese, anything that you want. Simply delicious. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So yummy. So that's it, guys. Hope that you enjoyed this video today. And I hope you try this recipe. Let me know in the comment section if you did and if it turned out okay with all my tips and tricks. I really want you to watch the rest videos that I posted. So go ahead and check out my playlist and click on the end screens. And I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.